मैम नमस्ते।
हाँ नमस्ते नमस्ते। हाँ
सक्सेना मैम, सर प्रणाम।
हाँ जी
oh
प्रणाम।
Kajol is here, Kajol is here.
ओके
Yes, ma'am.
Very good to hear from you. It's a long time, you know.
Yes, ma'am. I was supposed to request madam to just arrange a meeting for all of us, so that we will have
Yeah,
a feel of our
you can arrange.
activities.
Yes, virtually also you can arrange. Yeah.
Yes, yes, virtually, only virtually, ma'am. Our
Yes,
lockdown has
yes,
been
yes,
again.
yes.
Bhubaneswar has lockdown has been extended up to 15th of July.
at
In
your
our
place
case
also.
also,
At your
in
place
West
also.
Bengal also,
At
Okay.
Bhubaneswar.
partially lockdown.
And ma'am, what about Kanpur, ma'am?
Kanpur it's open, all open. From today colleges also start.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing, no lockdown.
তুমি
From
Oh,
এখানে
today.
good.
বসে, you can just here. Education. I will. তোমাকে লিংক পাঠিয়েছি আমি দেখি।
अरे बेटा ये यहाँ से कैमरा दिखलाई देता है ना।
লিংক দেওয়া হয়নি, ওকে বলছি। হ্যাঁ ওই লিংকটা চলবে, হবে না? আচ্ছা এখানে তো।
Ma'am, the sweetie is your granddaughter. Hello.
প্রোগ্রামের সঙ্গে তো ওই লিংকে কে ঢুকতে পারে? তার জন্য ঢুকছে, আমি ঢুকতে পারছি।
তাহলে তুমি ইমেলে কি করে ঢুকলে এতে?
ইমেলে তো লিংক
ওই যে ওখানে যে ঢুকলে ল্যাপটপে, সেটা কোথায়?
তুমি কিভাবে ঢুকতে?
হ্যাঁ বিপ্লব আমার হাজবেন্ড কিছুতে প্রোগ্রামের সঙ্গে লিংক দিয়েছেন, ঢুকতে পারছে না। আপনি ওই আমাকে যে হোয়াটসঅ্যাপে পাঠিয়েছেন, আমারটা এখন নিয়ে খোলা হয়ে গেছে। আপনি Madam, Saxena madam, we will start at around 11:05.
Okay, no problem.
Because 5 minutes, more teachers and students and delegates will join. So we will wait for 3-4 minutes more.
Okay, no problem.
Madam,
No
good
problem.
morning.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
To all of you.
यहाँ बैठो तब दिखाई देगा।
Manoj is in the second floor, but he's getting problem, I think.
No
I will
problem.
call him to come here.
No, don't worry. He should do your
No.
work.
I think he will join with we first tried with our laptop and we got problems, so again he's trying, so that is our problem.
अब देखो।
ये जरा दो कुछ रखने के लिए इसको, तो फिर ये स्प्रिंग खराब हो गई इसकी। वो नहीं है,
नहीं
स्प्रिंग खराब हो गई, ये भी तो नहीं आएगा।
ज्यादा ऊंचा हो गया तो वहाँ सब कट गया।
नहीं ऊंचा हो गया, वो नीचे नहीं हो रहा है ना, स्प्रिंग खराब है ये।
मनीष शायद कर चुका हूँ, नहीं कर पाया।
तो फिर तो कुछ 2-3 एक आध किताब दे दो, एक आध किताब दे दो, इतनी बस इतना मोटा लगना है इसमें। और बताया कि कितना मोटा लगना है, लेकिन इतना और लगना है। ठीक हो गया।
Say hi to them.
सर गुड मॉर्निंग।
हाँ गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड मॉर्निंग।
मैडम मैडम गुड मॉर्निंग।
Yeah, good morning.
अरे वाह, अभी
So I think Shumalya, 11:05. So we can start.
Okay, madam. Okay.
I think so now.
Yes.
Yes, 1:35 join. So we can start. Yes.
Okay, madam. Thank you, madam. Good morning, everybody. Today we have gathered here to celebrate Doctors' Day. This day is celebrated to acknowledge the services and sacrifices rendered by our honorable doctors towards the betterment of humankind. In India, this day is observed on the 1st of July to commemorate the birth and death anniversary of the legendary and visionary physician and the second Chief Minister of West Bengal, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai. Today, let us all pay a small tribute to him by celebrating this Doctor's Day with a national webinar. At the very beginning, we will have the welcome address delivered by our very respected Principal Madam, Dr. Nibedita Chakraborty. Along with being the principal of Victoria Institution College, Ma'am is also a council member and assistant secretary of Indian Chemical Society. Ma'am is also an executive committee member of Indian Science Congress Association, and she has also been the former secretary of Indian Institute of Ceramics. May I now request our respected Principal Madam, Dr. Nibedita Chakraborty Ma'am, who is the main support system and the backbone of today's seminar, to kindly deliver the welcome address. Over to you, Madam. Ma'am, you are muted, ma'am. Sorry.
Sorry. Thank you, Shumalya. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam.
Good morning, everybody. Respected Dr. Vijay Lakshmi Saxena, our General President. Respected Dr. Ashok Kumar Saxena, past General President. We are so lucky to have them with us today. Respected speakers of today's webinar, Dr. Dev-Prasad Chattopadhyay, Director, National Institute of Traditional Medicine, Professor Ranabir Pal, Kishanganj Medical College, Dr. Manoj Kumar Chakraborty, Convener ISKA, Kolkata Chapter, and past General President ISKA, Professor Ananga Mohan Chandra, Treasurer, ISKA, Kolkata Chapter, Professor Ramakrishna GS ISKA, Dr. Sheo Shatyaprakash, Treasurer ISKA, Professor BP Chatterjee, I don't know they are here joined or not, Professor Abhijit Banerjee, also, I sorry to say, Dr. Anup Jain, the General Secretary ISKA, Professor Gautam Pal, Professor Nando Boiragi, Professor Ranjit Bharma, and council members of ISKA present here, all the conveners of ISKA chapters present here. I'm seeing Kajol is here, and Dr. Amit Krishna De, advisor ISKA, Dr. Shubhendu Chandra and Shumallo Karmakar, our joint convener, all the faculty members of Victoria Institution College, all the ISKA members and delegates, and my beloved students. I would like to welcome you and also thank you to everybody to this national webinar to celebrate Doctors' Day. Today I am very happy to celebrate Doctors' Day in collaboration with ISKA Kolkata chapter. Every year I used to attend Doctors' Day in ISKA office headquarters, celebrated by ISKA Kolkata chapter jointly with ISKA headquarters. At that time, I thought, if we can celebrate Doctors' Day in our college. So today I must thank the convener and the treasurer of ISKA Kolkata chapter to give us this opportunity to celebrate Doctors' Day in our college. In India, the National Doctors' Day is celebrated on 1st July to honor the legendary physician and second Chief Minister of West Bengal, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy. Dr. Roy, who served as a physician, was also a freedom fighter, an educationist, and politician. He joined in politics in the year 1925 and became the second Chief Minister, as you heard from Shumallo also, and you can see also, Minister of West Bengal. His regime was from 1948 to 1962. Dr. Roy was Mahatma Gandhiji's personal physician. Also, sometimes he checked our Prime Minister, late Jawaharlal Nehruji, and Dr. Roy was Gandhiji's friend also. On his 80th birthday, 1st July 1962, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy passed away. And now I'm coming to the point that why I wish to celebrate Doctors' Day at our college. Dr. Roy's mother was an ardent Brahmo Samaji. Their family was associated with our college. Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy's elder brother, was the secretary of our college since 1932. After his death, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy became the secretary of Victoria Institution College. Till his death, he was associated with our college. I heard from one or two senior teachers of our college, they used to go to writers' building to attend the GB meeting. What was used to held in the writers' building, and Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, was always did a lot of did anything for the betterment of our college as well as for the students. So that's why all the time I was thinking that we can celebrate this, and today is that day. So thank you again, the ISKA and the ISKA Kolkata chapter both, because ISKA headquarters, especially Mrs. Saxena, Dr. Mrs. Saxena, she has arranged this type of after meeting with the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to get fund from the government of India. That's why we can celebrate. That's why the chapters are now flourished, and we can celebrate. I think Manoj will tell. He will describe everything. So I just thank Mr. Saxena, Dr. Saxena, Dr. Chakraborty for this scope we are getting for them. When the world is struggling to survive from a pandemic, there is probably no better time than today to remember the nation's doctors for their hard work, talent, success, and dedication towards their profession. Doctors form an essential part of an effective response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We can say that these are their duties, but the doctors, healthcare workers, medical staff members are fighting the battle against COVID-19 from the front line, putting their own life in risk, their families at risk for the sake of saving our lives. So we can appreciate them, salute them for their untiring work during COVID-19. So again and again, I like to thank our speakers for accepting our invitation. Again, I would like to thank all the participants, all the delegates, all the ISCA members, our both past and present general presidents and all the chapter conveners and our teachers and mostly our students to present here and welcome everybody to this national webinar. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Shumalo?
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam, for this excellent speech. We are indeed indebted to you for this very warm welcome. Thank you once again, ma'am. May I now request our respected Sir, Dr. Manoj Kumar Chakraborty, for his address. Sir is presently an Ashutosh Mukherjee Fellow of DSTISCA at National Institute of Cholera and Enteric Diseases, popularly and fondly known as NICED. Formerly, he was an ICMR Emeritus Scientist and also the Director in charge at the National Institute of Cholera and Enteric Diseases, Kolkata. Sir is presently the convener of the Indian Science Congress Association, Kolkata chapter, and he has been the past General President of Indian Science Congress Association. May I now request our respected Dr. Manoj Kumar Chakraborty, sir, who has been highly instrumental for organizing today's seminar, to kindly deliver his address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Respected Professor Bijoy Lakshmi Saxena, General President of Indian Science Congress Association, Professor Ashok Kumar Saxena, past General President of Indian Science Congress Association, Dr. Nivedita Chakraborty, Principal, Victoria Institution College, Professor Ananga Mohan Chandra, Treasurer, ISCA, and he was formerly head of the Department of Physiology of Calcutta University. And in addition to that, he was the Inspector of Colleges of Calcutta University for a long time. Dr. Dev Prasad Chattopadhyay, Director, National Institutes of Traditional Medicine, Professor Ranabir Pal, Professor of Kishanganj Medical College, Professor Ramakrishna, General Secretary, Membership Affairs, Indian Science Congress, Dr. Anup Jain, General Secretary, Scientific Activities, ISCA, Professor Sheo Satyaprakash, Treasurer, Indian Science Congress Association, Professor B.P. Chatterjee, Professor Abhijit Banerjee, Professor Ranjit Bharma, Professor Dhanendra Kumar, Professor Gautam Pal, all they are all council members of Indian Science Congress Association. Dr. Amit Krishna De, Advisor, ISCA, Professor Nando Boiragi, he is from the Department of Mathematics, Jadavpur University, and at one time he was the President of Mathematics Section of Indian Science Congress Association. Dr. Shubhendu Chanda and Dr. Sumallo Kormokar, the coordinators, all conveners of Indian Science Congress Association, faculties and students of Victoria Institution College and all other colleges and medical colleges, ISCA members, and my student friends. On behalf of Indian Science Congress Association, I welcome you all to this national webinar to celebrate Doctors' Day. All of us know that National Doctors' Day is celebrated in our country in memory of the most famous physician of India, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai, whose birth and death anniversaries fall on the same day, July 1. Doctors' Day celebration was established by Government of India in 1991 to honor Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai and also to pay respect to doctors for their contribution to the society. A legendary physician, Dr. Roy, contributed greatly to the Indian medical scenario and also to the society. He played a crucial role in establishing the Institute of Mental Health, Infectious Diseases Hospital, that is known as ID Hospital, and the first ever postgraduate medical college. ID Hospital was established at the, as already Sumallo has mentioned, that I am from National Institute of Cholera and Enteric Diseases, and we have one campus within the ID Hospital campus. So I would like to say something about the contribution of Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai on the establishment of Infectious Diseases Hospital in Calcutta. Generally, the infectious diseases all will think that why the Infectious Diseases Hospital is within the city of Calcutta, within the jurisdiction of Calcutta. Generally, it is established, this type of hospitals are established they keep some distance from the city. But here it has come within the city. But when it was established, it was not like that. This hospital was established at the eastern end of the city. At that time, Salt Lake City Eastern Bypass was not there. That was the end of the city. With the advice of Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai, ID Hospital had all the arrangements to protect people from contamination by infectious agents such as rabies, tetanus, diphtheria, and cholera, etc. Actually, I am mentioning the diseases, but I have mentioned the agents, infectious agents. I should have mentioned the agents only. Dr. Roy arranged in that time incinerator for the hospital to burn all contaminated materials. On his suggestion, the drainage system was made different from other drainage systems, other hospitals. Wastewater used to be drained first in an underground tank and the water was treated. This treated water then used to go to the main drainage system. Dr. Rai was involved in all academic activities in those days. He established Indian Medical Association, Medical Council of India, where he was founder president. He was associated with the foundation of the Physiological Society of India, which was established in 1934. He was related to Library Association of India and several other societies. I would like to mention here that it may be, I am not sure, that Library Association was established in 1935. Even our great poet Rabindranath Tagore was also associated with this Library Association. You have heard already from the lecture of Dr. Nivedita Chakraborty, that Dr. Roy was associated with Victoria Institution College. I shall briefly mention his association with the Indian Science Congress Association. He became the General President of Indian Science Congress in 1956-57. During his presidential tenure, he was the Chief Minister of West Bengal. At that time, he allotted a government land for the office and permanent address of Indian Science Congress Association at 14 Dr. Dilkhusha Street, which is at Park Circus area of Calcutta. Presently, the name of the street is Dr. B.C. Guha Street. Headquarter, Dr. Biresh Guha was an eminent scientist. He has contributed a lot in the field of nutrition. Headquarter of ISCA has been built on that land. West Bengal government also donated a fund to build the ISCA office. All the members of ISCA are indebted to Dr. Roy for his wholehearted support to Indian Science Congress Association. Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy had a great vision. As a visionary, he played a vital role towards the development of our nation. In 1925, I repeat, in 1925, he tabled a resolution to study the causes, effects, and prevention of pollution in Hooghly River. As Mayor of Calcutta Corporation, he promoted free education, free medical service, better roads, improved lighting, and water supply. As Chief Minister of West Bengal, he restored law and order in the state. He laid the foundation of 5 eminent cities, namely Durgapur, Kalyani, Bidhannagar, Ashoknagar, and Habra. In 1961, he was awarded with Bharat Ratna, and in 1976, Dr. B.C. Roy National Award was instituted for work in the area of medicine, politics, science, philosophy, and literature. And this was instituted by Government of India. The theme of this year's Doctor's Day is Building the Future with Family Doctors. With the spread of COVID-19 pandemic, the importance of doctors is undoubtedly at the forefront. Doctors are working 24 hours with little or no rest, as the virus has spread far and wide. Across India, where there is a rise daily in the number of sick people, doctors are not only engaged in the number of patients they treat, but also put their lives on track every day. There are many opportunities for family doctors to contribute during medical emergencies. Family doctors are the first contacts of patients, and they act as gatekeepers in the fight against outbreaks. As trusted and respected members of community, family doctors can improve knowledge and understanding of risks of community faced by a disease. They can help to mitigate the risk by informing and educating patients and by contributing to community-based risk reduction program organized by government and non-government organizations. During COVID-19 pandemic, family physicians are playing a great protective role against the spread of the disease. So it's a wise decision to select the theme, Building the Future with Family Doctors. At the end, I express my sincere thanks to the speakers, Dr. Dev Prasad Chattopadhyay and Professor Ranbir Pal, who were at one time my colleagues, to accept our invitation to deliver the talk and enlighten us about the recent happenings of COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to mention here that in the program that you have found, we have to, our coordinator, Dr. Sumallo Karmakar, will definitely tell you about this. Today in the morning, I got a message from Dr. Devprasad Chattopadhyay, Director of NITM, that the Director General of ICMR has fixed one meeting at 10:30. So he requested me to deliver his lecture after the lecture of Professor Ranbir Pal. So Dr. Sumallo and Dr. Subhendu Chandra has organized like that. And already Dr. Nivedita Chakraborty has mentioned that we are lucky to have Professor Dr. Bijoy Lakshmi Saxena and Professor Ashok Kumar Saxena with us today, because they remain very busy. That's why I did not like to bother them with a small program like Doctor's Day in Calcutta. All of us know that we have 25 chapters throughout India, and she always remains busy with the activities, not only of the Science Congress, but also with the chapter activities. But one thing what Dr. Nivedita Chakraborty wanted to tell, I am telling you in detail. Actually, our at one time in 2013, Dr. Manmohan Singh became the General President of Indian Science Congress Association. At that time, Professor Bijoy Lakshmi Saxena and myself was the General Secretaries. And as General Secretaries, we had to attend several meetings with the Prime Minister of India at that time. So at one meeting, when a very few eminent dignitaries, eminent scientists were present at the house of Dr. Manmohan Singh, in that meeting, he requested us, everybody, to tell something for the development of science in India. So at that meeting, Professor Bijoy Lakshmi Saxena, our General President, at that time she was the General Secretary, she requested Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh that Indian Science Congress activities can be increased through the activities of the chapters. Definitely, we had chapters for a long time, but from the beginning we had chapters throughout India. But those chapters were working okay. But to enhance the activities, Dr. Professor Saxena requested Prime Minister to give some additional grant for the activities. And immediately the proposal was accepted at the meeting, and that way the DST is funding us. And all of us know that Science Congress, Indian Science Congress Association, is a professional body under Department of Science and Technology. So again, I would like to thank Professor Bijoy Lakshmi Saxena and Professor Ashok Saxena to be present at our meeting today. We are honored by their presence. So I also thank you all for your kind participation at this national webinar. Thank you all. Thank you. Sumallo.
Thank you very much, sir, for this excellent, informative, and encouraging words. May I now request respected Professor Anango Mohan Chandra, Treasurer of Indian Science Congress Association Kolkata chapter, to kindly deliver his address. Over to you, sir.
Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, your microphone is muted. Sir, we cannot hear you, sir.
Anangoda, microphone is muted, I think. Unmute it.
Please click on the microphone, sir.
Anangoda,
Ma'am, please contact it personally over the telephone.
oh. What happened to him? Acha, Manoj will try. What happened to him? That is unmute. That is muted.
His microphone is muted.
Oh, and his video?
His video is on.
Video is on.
Huh.
I
We
couldn't
can see him
see.
but cannot hear him. We can see him.
Okay, okay.
ম্যাডাম এখন দুটোই বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে, ভিডিও এবং
হ্যাঁ।
ওর ওইটা একটু গন্ডগোল হচ্ছে, ওইখানে মিউট করতে পারছে না,
Oh,
আনমিউট করতে পারছে না।
something is wrong there. He couldn't manage it. He couldn't unmute it. I don't know what happened to his.
Give him some time.
Uh,
Give him a few minutes more and
just 1 or 2 minutes. Sorry, everybody. I think he needs 1 or 2 minutes more.
some technical problem.
Technical problem. So he will be back within 1-2 minutes. You just call him, huh? Try to call him. Oh. Now I think he has joined.
But
Professor
his
Chanda.
microphone is still muted.
Again muted, no?
Yes. Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me? Please unmute your microphone fast, sir. We cannot hear you. Ma'am, can you call him over the telephone?
Dr. Chakraborty is calling, right? And
Okay.
he told he couldn't do it. Something wrong in the net connection or something there problem.
Tell him to try rejoin.
Okay, tell him okay, কেটে দিয়ে rejoin করতে বলো, rejoin. Shumalo, then if
Yes, ma'am.
wait for 2 minutes.
Okay, madam.
Again he's trying to rejoin again. Otherwise we'll go for the speaker.
Okay,
First,
madam. Okay.
Just 2 minutes. No,
Okay.
then within the break from first speaker to second speaker, that break Anangoda can take. That is the thing. You just call and tell him. Wait. After 2 minutes, we'll.
Ma'am, sir came back, but still he is muted.
Okay, then we'll go for tumi call kore bole dao. We'll go for the first speaker.
Oh, he has unmuted. He has unmuted.
It's now unmute. Yeah, Anangoda, it's now unmute. Very good.
Okay. I'm sorry for the difficulties. Okay. Good morning, everybody.
It's okay.
On behalf of the ISKA Kolkata chapter, it is my privilege to welcome all the office bearers, council members, executive members, and all the others who have joined this webinar today to celebrate the Doctor's Day. I am very much thankful to Dr. Manoj Kumar Chakraborty, convener ISKA Kolkata chapter and past General President of ISKA, and also Dr. Mrs. Nivedita Chakraborty, Principal, Victoria Institution College, and all her colleagues for arranging this webinar in such a pandemic situation. Unless we are on a space ark taking off to a safer planet, we are all aware that India is in the throes of a pandemic that has claimed scores of lives in this nation. At the same time, many a life has been saved by our healthcare professionals. We are certainly more aware of how imperative the contributions of doctors have been amid the coronavirus pandemic. While we are tucked away safely at home with the privilege of self-isolate from the virus minefield the world has morphed into, Doctors are out there in the trenches fighting the lives of individuals infected by the virus. While hospitals teem with hundreds and thousands of infected people, doctors' lives are at greater risk as they tirelessly work towards curing them. So it is a great honor to recognize the significance of these health professionals in our society and pay homage to their contributions. National Doctors' Day is a perfect time to take a pause and remember the sacrifices of these individuals, which comes at a personal cost. India celebrates National Doctors' Day on 1st July every year to honor the birth and death anniversary of great physicians and second Chief Minister of West Bengal, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Rai. This day is celebrated to acknowledge the role of doctors in the progress of this nation. He was born 1st of July 1882 in the Patna, Bihar. Dr. Rai was a physician, a freedom fighter, an educationist, and a politician. The government of India established Doctors' Day in India in 1991 to recognize his contribution. He also served as a CM of West Bengal for around 14 years from 1948 till his demise in 1962. He played an important role in the establishment of the MCI, that is Medical Council of India, and IMA, Indian Medical Association. He was honored with the Great Indian Civilian Award called Bharat Ratna on 4th of February 1961. Medicines cure disease, but only doctors can cure patients. This quote by Carl Jung never made more sense than now. Our doctors and healthcare workers have stood by us during such tough times of COVID-19 pandemic that no matter how much we acknowledge or thank them, it will be difficult to repay whatever they have done for the country. Amidst the epidemic, there are many heroes which emerged white lab coats to save us from the deadly virus. Therefore, in order to thank them and salute them for their contribution towards mankind, National Doctor Day is celebrated. Doctors' Day is not only celebrated in India, but also in different countries of the world, however, on different dates. In the United States, it is observed on 30th March, in Cuba on 3rd December, while in Iran, the Doctors' Day is celebrated on 23rd August and so on. The first Doctor Day in the world was observed on 30th March 30th, 1933 by the Barrow County Alliance in Winder, Georgia, USA. The difficult times amid COVID-19 have once again reminded us about the contributions and sacrifices made by doctors and the healthcare staff around the globe on a daily basis. This year, once again, dedicated to all those doctors and healthcare professionals who are serving in these trying times by risking their lives either in primary as well as secondary care setup or in dedicated COVID care facilities. We wish for all the doctors to stay healthy and safe and to serve the humanity in the coming times, even for far greater challenges which may come ahead. The COVID-19 pandemic has been hard on doctors and paramedic staff as well because even they lost their close family members to the virus. Managing critically ill COVID patient in ICU is physically, mentally, and emotionally very demanding for a doctor. As per the data reported by the National Institute of Health USA, doctors working in critical care have the highest burnout rate among all specialties. Doctors have to show empathy towards patients and their relatives while also detaching themselves emotionally to work in a professional manner. It's that time of year to celebrate the real heroes out there who are fighting the long war against the coronavirus for our safety at the cost of their own. With the coronavirus pandemic still looming over our day-to-day lives, the significance of National Doctors Day 2021 has increased tenfold. We are wishing the doctors and the other people around Happy Doctors Day 2021. Each year, this day is organized with an appropriate theme. While this year's theme hasn't been announced yet, but it is safe to assume that it will be in accordance with the pandemic situation we are seeing today. Last year as well, the annual theme was lessen the mortality of COVID-19. Today, more than ever, it is important for the people to realize the sacrifices that the medical team make for us day in and day out. With the number of infected people was on the rise every day and hospital being flooded with people in thousands regularly, doctors can truly be named as superheroes at this point. We take this opportunity to appreciate their efforts and recognize their strength with heartfelt messages, delightful wishes, and a sweet, happy Doctors' Day 2021 greetings. So the National Doctors' Day is an honor and gratitude to all the physicians of the world for the sympathy and compassion of the physician in ministering to the sick and the alleviating human suffering. We are eagerly waiting for the technical session to start. So I won't take much of the time. With these few words, once again, I welcome all of you to this function and wish the webinar a grand success. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir, for this excellent address. We will now move on to the scientific session, which will be conducted by Dr. Shubhendu Chandra, Assistant Professor in Physics and the joint convener of today's webinar. Before we move on to the scientific session, just one small request to you all. If you have any questions regarding the lectures delivered by our honorable speakers, kindly post that in the chat box or in the message box. We will retrieve those and we will do the needful. Thank you. And now I hand over the microphone to Dr. Shubhendu Chandra for the scientific session. Over to you, Shubhendu Chandra.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sumando. Good morning. At the end of the inaugural session, I make my gratitude to all of you. Today is the National Doctors' Day. This day is very important for us, especially in this pandemic situation. In the present situation, the widely spread COVID-19 disease caused by the coronavirus creates a pandemic situation throughout the world. According to the recent scientific reports recognized by various doctors, microbiologists, and virologists, the coronavirus has been changed its character day by day and muted itself within a very short period of time. So the rapid detection of coronavirus is very essential and treat the people as early as possible to prevent community spread. If we are unable to do so, it will change its character and will present itself as unknown to us. These mutations provide difficulties to recognize it and unable to detect easily and not to take any action against its rapid killings to the people. Not only doctors, but also statisticians, mathematicians, physicians, and physicists and chemists impose their responsibility towards the perfect detection techniques, instruments, and mechanisms throughout the world. We, the general people, treated a doctor as God because of their endless contribution to the people of our society. So now we are going to start the first technical session of the national webinar celebrated Doctors' Day by Victory Institution College, Kolkata, in collaboration with Indian Science Congress, Kolkata chapter. In this session, the speaker is Professor Dr. Ranobir Pal. Dr. Pal is now the renowned professor, community medicine, MGM Medical College, and LSK Hospital, Kishanganj, Bihar, India. He was former additional professor, Department of Community Medicine and Family Medicine, All India Institute of Medical Science, Jodhpur, India. He received the Distinguished Academicians and Researchers of the Year from Indo-US Academic Council for Emergency and Trauma. He was published about 377 scientific research papers in national and international reputed journals. He published about 33 books, chapters on textbook of occupational health, ethics in health promotion, biostatistics, medico-legal issues in blood transfusion practices, food safety implementation from farm to fork, economics for healthcare professionals, etc. He is associated with the editorial board about 32 international and national journals. He is a member of Asian Council of Scientific Editors and was the former member of International Epidemiological Association. He is awarded 12 certificates for academic and philanthropic international and national work. He acted as a resource person of 32 training courses on research methods, epidemiology, scientific writing, and medical education. His research interest in the field of clinical epidemiology and community intervention of injury. So, now I would like to request Dr. Pal to start his presentation. Dr. Pal. Sir.
Hello, good morning. I would like to share my screen. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like to share my screen of my PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah. Go to more present now. That option is beside the raise hand. Yes.
Yes, sir. Okay, fine.
Yes.
It's okay. It's fine.
Is it, you can see it?
Make it full screen.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's my proud privilege that Indian Science Congress has allowed me to speak on this very auspicious day in the life of. Am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible.
Sir, just remove the message. You are sharing the screen. That message should be kept aside.
Hello. Is it okay?
Yes,
Is
sir.
it okay now?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
my
Yes, sir, it's okay.
topic for today's lecture is Doctor Sacrifice, who are the unsung warriors of this COVID-19 pandemic. So I have extensively working for last few months on this issue, especially when I committed to Dr. Chakraborty. Dr. Manoj Chakraborty is my friend, philosopher and guide and elder brother. So I found tried my level best to work on it. So I'm sharing as a senior public health researcher the story. So this year, many Indian organizations has declared this today as not a happy Doctor's Day, but a day for remembering our doctor martyrs who have fallen in COVID pandemic. So today's COVID Martyrs Day. I am sharing a screen and will ask everyone to send a condolence for 1 minute by standing in their position wherever they are in their room or in place. So 1 minute of silence to commemorate sacrifice of these persons. Nearly 200 persons as far as I got. 1 minute of silence. have a minute silence in memory of the doctors who have done more than 200. With this 1 minute of silence and praying for their souls, and starting my. So there is a global mortality with an unprecedented pandemic, 7% death in the whole world, and we are only sending message to people to participate. And all the governments are sending vertical instructions, but as there is no scope of horizontal transmission or percolation of knowledge among the people, so there is less sensitization of people, and people are getting really frustrated. So this is a picture of our Dr. B.C. Rao, who was our first elected CM of Bengal. I think many persons have told, but one thing I want to say, he did FRCS and MRCP, FRCS in surgery, MRCP in medicine on the same year consecutively. And few people have told about his contribution, Jadavpur TB Hospital, Chittorajung Cancer Hospital, Chittorajung Seva Sadan, and his great role in forming Armed Force Medical College Pune, a dedicated hospital for the army people. So it is initiated by government in 1991. One thing many people do not know, that British Medical Journal has written an obituary in his name after his death. It is our honor for every Indian. BMJ obituary told first medical consultant in the subcontinent of India, who towered over his contemporaries in several fields. At his professional zenith, he may have had the largest consulting practice in the world. News of his visit to a city or even railway station bringing forth reports of would-be patients. It's our honor that obituary made in his death. So doctor's role historically has three roles of doctors: healer, teacher, and preacher. Healer means curing the patients, teacher means giving education to everyone, preacher means doing research and giving new ideas in the path of curing disease and other new pathways of medical research. And everyone knows doctors in the community are friend, philosopher, and guide. Engaged in noble profession and enjoying prestige in the community as a rescuer in need. People think of the doctor as the rescuer in any problem. So health manpower is precious and inimitable. It's a longer period of training and lifelong learning. In fact, even I got my medical graduation certificate in 1981. After 40 years, even today I'm learning about a new disease for last 1.5 years. But I want to say bitter truth. The noble profession has been degraded in Indian scenario. We are now under the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So all our activities are under scam. And this has sent a jittery to our profession. A study published in 2020, before this COVID pandemic, 56% of doctors do not get a comfortable 7 hours sleep most of the day of the week. 13.7% fear criminal prosecution most days of the week, and mostly doctors feel stressed out in their profession, fear of violence anytime, fear being issued, and 62.8% doctors surveyed unable to patient without any fear. Anyhow, and they think of getting a personal security also. So these are situation, somehow doctors' profession has become degraded and doctors are under threat. Even then, in the meantime, there is a thunderbolt in the spring. On 30th January 2020, WHO Director Herald declared WHO as pandemic public health emergency of international concern after recommendation of the emergency committee. The timeline, that time we were really puzzled. The whole of the medical profession was puzzled. 30th December, first test reported, then the virus isolated, genomic sequences done, bats have been thought at potential origin, Wuhan lockdown, and one after another countries started giving reports that they are getting patients. So let us, I made a with much effort, I made a summary. Till date, so many patients, so many people, and so many deaths are there. But most important, vaccines is the only mainstay. We are getting only 10% of the whole population. And for any vaccine of any infectiousness, minimum 70% coverage is needed. Till now, we could reach only 10%, and in low and middle income countries, 1%. USA, other countries and advanced countries also could not reach 2 doses, maximum 50%. So in India, we are far behind. One total doses is now this 25%. Only 4.4% till this morning we are getting 2 doses. So we are far behind this fight, and doctors are all worried about this lackadaisical attitude of the stakeholders. So people of many professions are privileged to stay or work from home during times of COVID, but we doctors have to do critical thinking and reflexive prompt action of competency-based action in this profession, in the unique profession. In a bid to save lives for millions of lives, they have to work among the people. So Doctors' Day this year has a new mention. Last year we are in a confusion. This year we are almost sure that third wave is coming, and we have to get ready for any of the consequences. So our ardent appeal to cultivate respect, love, and trust for doctors to all the citizens of India. So we have to see that beginning of the pandemic, with doctors of the whole world warned the world leaders the potential implications, and the majority of the leaders of the world did not hear. And the clinicians of the whole world treated with a little understood. We also did not know the natural list of disease, what is going on, how the disease spreads, and all the researches are going on in between. We are treating hundreds of patients, and among them doing that in last 18 months, many of our colleagues in the whole world have died. So we are still very much learning about variants of concern and variants of interest. I think we are now alpha, beta, gamma, delta. I'm not going in theoretical part. I think my colleague will be doing this. But most important thing, you must be knowing that by now we have become very sure of the symptoms. Continuous cough for more than 1 hour, or coughing episode continuously for 24 hours. Fever, loss of taste of smell, and at the end, long COVID. Delta variant is surely known is the very bad cold and multi-system features in a rapid spread. And the most dangerous thing is opportunity infection, fungus, and mucor arising in the critical ill COVID cases. The latest information, pollens are helping to carry. Every day, new disturbing news are coming, and more important that I am coming to the part that is where bothered about as public health specialist. COVID death is touching the milestone of 4 million deaths. Out of this, half deaths reported. But if you think of the death rate adjusted for population, Hungary, Bosnia, Czech Republic, Gibraltar, the smaller countries than the population. And BBC News has told that African countries will soon report many more deaths just because of the severe oxygen shortage. So we want not the lip service from the leaders of the world. We want doctors expect provide discernible necessary step to hold these upcoming spikes in the third wave. Vaccine is the central pillar to hold this pandemic. Till now, whole world is hovering. Even America could complete 2 doses by 50%. India is only 4%. So somehow, with a very rapid speed, we have to go. But one very disturbing news is that different high-income countries, they are holding more than 4 times their needed, and the low and middle income countries having stock of less than 1. So we appeal to the high income countries that to immediately release those 2 doses of their vaccine to their citizens. We doctors are asking them, requesting to spare those extra vaccines after 2 doses is over. Second wave lashing the world till now, including India. Till today, thousands of people have been infected and hundreds of people are dying. And third wave is predicted. And as per IIT Kanpur prediction, it may come any day. Virus is constantly mutating. This is another news, disasters. Doctors are urging governments to capacity building, bed, drug, oxygen, logistics. I am coming in detail later. There is a socio-economic disaster, mass retrenchment in almost all the industries. GDP is declining in the whole world, but rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer, divide is getting deeper. Millions are infected, but 4 lakh reported death. There is a debate going on that every country is suppressing death reports. It could have been between 5 to 10 times the death in every country. MH Maharashtra has made a state task force report. They have predicted the 3rd May, August, and active cases to reach 8 lakh per day. National Commission of Protection of Child has given a very disturbing news that till date, 30,000 families have been devastated, and orphans, huge number of orphans, 3,620 children lost both parents, 26,176 lost either parent, 274 abandoned. 30,000 children have been orphaned. National Commission for Protection of Child is thinking what to do. So I am showing everyday picture because many have not lucky enough to see us in the working. So what we practiced in lab and OT now coming to the road. So we are warriors of the battlefield. Battlefield is everywhere. Home not possible for doctors. You see in this hot and humid weather, have you noted the sweating of the person? Everyone is working 24/7 with this dress. Just you wear the dress, you don't have to do any managing patients. Doing everything for even for 4 hours, it is very difficult. But many times, not only 8 hours, but also 16 to 24 hours duty with this clumsy dress. Very difficult to go even for the natural call. So this is scenario I am sharing with you so that you just feel the plight of doctors. In between, AIMS director, Dr. Guleria has told 8 weeks means end of July to August, 3rd wave is coming, can hit any time. So I would request everyone to get ready. So we have to start a mitigation plan from the 3rd wave. We have to make more beds for the children, more beds for the ICU rate. So more beds are being prepared, getting prepared, and doctors are calling. Doctors are getting how to manage them. We are doing webinar service just like today, facing this webinar service, what to do, what not to do, etc. and vaccine. So in between international and national halt it. So Professor Adam Finn, UK vaccination policy, he told that UK sees race between the vaccine and the Delta VOC, virus of concern. So it is a race between till they can cross 70% population vaccinated in 2 doses, they do not stop. And Anthony Fauci, I think most knowledgeable person and is one of the author of our best book, Harrison textbook of internal medicine, is author. He told that transmission of Delta variant is unquestionably great. But pharma companies are doing all the business here, and global experts are sharing their views. So most important is the large number of poorer countries are not receiving vaccines. Can you see only 90 million doses has been given shared by WHO to 131 countries. So total of 700 million population, majority is in the poorer countries. They are not getting vaccines. I already mentioned you, the richer countries are hoarding more than 4 times their requirement, but still till their vaccination is over, they are not sharing anything. South African president appealed to all rich countries, end vaccine hoarding by and give us help and give in subsidized rate. So African president is planning with all the poorer countries in Africa to make a regional hub to produce more vaccines. So there are many researches, not many researches, but many researchers have done. I have found how the doctors are dying by giving contribution, selfless contribution. This mean age is 63.4 years, 90% male, majority in the older age. Most important to know that in the whole world, GPs and emergency room doctors are dying, nearly half, 40%. And those who are dealing with the mouth and ear, nose, throat, they are also suffering more. Respirologist, internal medicine specialist, anesthesiologist, total 52%. And countries most reported death in the was Italy, followed by Iran and China, Philippines, USA, and Indonesia. But though GPs and others have shared the higher death, physicians from all specialties died from COVID, likely to increase as pandemic progresses. So vaccine studies have given very good hope. US CDC, Center of Disease Control, has told after 2 doses of vaccination, you can move freely, or tour or travel, but avoid congested areas, vaccinated persons. UK officials, the National Statistics, told chance of infection dropped sharply 21 days after first dose. This is the one reason that many poorer countries is trying hard level best to at least give 1 dose of vaccine to all people in 2 to 3 months. So test positive is less viral load, but still those who are working, doctors and others of younger age, larger household, non-white ethnicity, healthcare occupation, all are at high risk even after getting vaccines. In Indian scenario, after 18 months of strictness, citizens refuse to follow personal care advices. Doctors are warning of third wave repeatedly. Still, people are roaming around without any proper use of personal protection. So caution against lowering the guard is repeatedly going. Again, the third wave is going on, and Covaxin phase, even the vaccine which has not passed that third phase, even that was also started giving. Now recently Covaxin has got third report submitted to Government of India, but we do not know at all. 6 months after they are started giving with a special permission. Doctors' issues. Physicians caring for the COVID infected patients are high risk of contagion because many people do not tell about their source of infection. They are hiding travel history, etc. And in countries with limited data source, We do not know about the morbidity, comorbidity, and incidence of physician is, there is no record. I am telling very honestly, I have searched from one end to other end to for central government on all portals. There is no report of the infections and death of doctors. I am coming to the data. I am having a very good information that different countries have given different because of differential public health resources, health policies, control policies, and doctors are using medical supplies, technology, social life, etc. Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan has least amount of physician death and infection because they follow three things. One is travel history compulsory, strict quarantine, widespread testing. So doctors are asking every country to follow this model. So doctors' deaths, all specialty from done, but most, I think we have to remember the first person who was the whistleblower, Li Wenliang in China, who first had alerted world in the 2019. He died at the age of 33. He was an ophthalmologist. Because of close proximity, I think you have seen eye operation or any intervention is close proximity. So eye and ENT people has a higher risk of death. But what we found that there is poor quality of personal protective equipment. I've shown you earlier, and in tropical and calm, sweaty weather, that is very impossible to completely use it in the whole duty period. And moreover, that is very important. In India also, we found patients are suppressing a travel history of infection contract. But ultimately, the effect is on the doctors. Further, doctors are having some mental and physical stress and burnout also. And they need some support from the society, from their fraternity, but they are not getting sufficient support from their things, from their institutions regarding their sympathetic attitude, empathic attitude. Another thing that we noted in India is the more number of patients have to tackle by the doctors per head. I think it is a hot debate now going on in the press. And inadequate and imperfect personal protective equipment supplied is almost like a raincoat. It's not quality, not given, non-disclosure to the patients, excessive working hours, close contact in physical examination therapy, direct contact with body fluids and excreta, not supplying good quality of the gloves, masks, etc. And intubation, even for each procedure, every time we need something that is not that. So that's why there is a huge number of deaths. In India, I have shown you the general population death in whole world in COVID is 7%, but in India, case fatality rate of doctor is 16.7%. 7 times rate in the general population in India reported. So maximum number of GPs are getting infected in India and age at the 16. Apart from general practitioners, most of the pediatrics followed by medicine, surgery, OBG and SA people are dying. Highest deaths reported from Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Gujarat and Maharashtra. ICU specialists are getting more stress, death anxiety. They are seeing the death in front of them. So there is a new word has come, coronaphobia and obsessive with COVID-19 patients. So there is rising infections with morbidity and mortality and health issues. Stress from long working hours, patient load, doctors faced recently government of West Bengal has told that those who are working after one single day duty get 1 or 2 days of leave because of this burnout issues. They are seeing the death from the very close range. So government of West Bengal is seriously thinking of this issue, how to relieve them up psychologically. Moreover, there is another thing. The blame of the healthcare system is on the doctors. I think you have seen the doctors in Assam and in different parts of country also. When a patient is dying due to COVID, doctors are being beaten. So the report, a study came that 75% of doctors face physical or verbal abuse during this COVID period. Another thing we are facing, I think, very unreported, WHO described hidden burden. Doctors who are working in COVID hospital and COVID wards, relatives are not coming to their home because you work in COVID hospital, so I will not send my children to your home, or I will not meet you till the COVID is over. Many times it is criminalized and blamed, hated and discrimination, fear of isolation. Many the people who are staying in rented house have got eviction threats. So this is the need a role to doctors who are working with the threat of life at hospital, gone hospital, are getting isolated in the society. That is very bad. I appeal to all the non-medical persons hearing my lecture to look after this issue, meet doctors as a, because after coming back to society, they feel people are not meeting them. Even I was a mentor of a research work, how people are thinking when community health workers was going to the house to know the how many which it's a Kolkata Corporation area research was quality research. They were not allowing them to enter the house. বাইরে থেকে বলুন যা বলার ঘরে ঢুকবেন না, আপনারা ইনজেকশন নিয়ে আসছেন হসপিটাল থেকে, আপনাদের বলবো না আমাদের বাড়িতে কোনো রোগী নেই, যান চলে যান। In this type of very bad behavior they faced. Okay, don't come in close contact with us, you are working in COVID hospital. So in the summary you can say doctors are getting the more severe than death with the older age, male, hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disorder and other comorbidities. So our suggestion to the government that senior physicians and with comorbidities should not be assigned to the frontline worker. They only give official work and video or phone call as a consultation, and use of telemedicine, robot, etc., and give sufficient respect to them. Okay. Another thing, government is creating gap of the and demand generation. You can go to hospital, you can give a call, you will get a bed, etc. But when actual scenario, they are not getting the bed, they are not getting the treatment. So that also there is a high given by the different of the countries and in many countries. So we doctors feel that assure that major of the infected patients can start home treatment under doctor's care, and transparent information to get. So government should take responsibility of the truth. Again, recently Delhi government announced a 5 lakh to keen who died of oxygen shortage, but no rupee has been announced for the doctors when doctors are dying. Anyhow, in April 2020, Delhi government announced 1 crore compensation for family of doctors, Bihar government 4 lakh, West Bengal government 10 lakhs. Till date, only 4 key doctors in West Bengal got this 10 lakh compensation, as reported reached me. Because there is no official report, I got everything from the social network. Bihar IMA wanted that their deposited list of 146 doctors and wanted their compensation. From the beginning in West Bengal scenario is little bright. 5 we can say volunteer organizations, they made joint platform of doctors West Bengal, Samajivi Shastha Uddog, West Bengal Doctors Forum, Association of Health Service Doctors, Health Service Association, Doctors for Democracy. They have approached to the government that to help it, and they have done a PIL to the High Court that the COVID appropriate behavior should be during the religious festival, and protocol they have participated in the protocol monitoring committee of the government of West Bengal and visited 66 hospitals for capacity building for last 18 months and updating the equipment, training manpower, clinical practice guidelines, infrastructure, etc. And West Bengal Doctors Forum, out of these 5 organizations, they start with all-out campaigns And vaccines to be made free, available to all, not mandatory with behavior-based communication against vaccine hesitancy. They have started telemedicine service and so that home-based care for mild cases can be done. They have made interim relief center at four places. One at Mukundapur, another is at Patoli, another is at College Street. Okay, another is at I think some of Kolkata. Okay. So provision of oxygen and bed, etc. They have made arrangement, and with all things they have done. Okay. Another is at Jadavpur University, fourth center for their interim relief center. So West Bengal doctors pursued was going to release promise rupees 10 lakh for dead person. Only 4% has got. So they have made a list of 200 doctors who have died with their all details, and they are pursuing government of West Bengal to release promised rupees 10 lakh for dead COVID warriors. And in the meantime, this West Bengal Doctors Forum has started preparation of impending third wave, capacity building and manpower training, oxygen cylinder and concentrator in this intermediate center to start a rational care and home care. And they have released 10 commandments. If you go to Doctor's Dialogue, you can download it. Yet, common people fail to comprehend. They are thinking when we can start going freely without mask. It is doctors, from the doctor, I appeal to all people. So this year, we are declared today as a COVID Martyr Doctors Day. So this figure is not a government figure. We have collected with our best efforts to find it, and there is no government declared record how many doctors have died. So we first want that at least these doctors whose list we have made honor this. If you cannot give money, you can give honor. So interesting thing, Bar Council of India has, for Bar Council of India, Government of India has sanctioned 100 crore rupees because courts were closed. So release of amount of 3,000 per month and 10,000 financial and interest-free loan. The Bar Council of India can fetch this money and give to the younger advocates who could not earn something. National Medical Commission cannot do because there are nearly 87,000 medical graduates have been infected. Very interesting thing, government is announcing, Government of India, that we have 50 lakhs rupees for each. But please note, the name of the package is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. One is the insurance scheme for the health workers. This insurance is for the death insurance, not any insurance. Among it, all the Garib Kalyan, where doctors are getting some Garib Kalyan package. So please note, all the working doctors in any organization are getting, GPs are not covered officially. One. Number two, any type of expenses related to treatment or quarantine not covered under the scheme. If doctors will get this benefit of this scheme only if they die. And till date 95 claim has been processed. Though there is more than 2,000 official deaths and 177 under process of insurance. There is huge complicated issues of disbursement of this money. So only 95 persons, 95 deceased doctors' family has got it. But please note, the name of the project is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Package, as if doctors are Garib. That's why there was a case in the Madurai branch of the Madras High Court. One lady fought for his claims, and very peculiarly they could not submit RT-PCR report. That's why they give not money, they go to High Court. Ultimately High Court has given. lost another 10 lakh rupees. Okay. So we demand holistic, dedicated COVID doctor fund, not Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. We are not Garib Kalyan, not Garib Kalyan give money to Garib people. It's a demand that all states and UTs for all public and private sectors, including general practitioners, should be covered under this COVID doctor fund. All types of expenses related to treatment or quarantine to be covered in morbidity, mortality, and disability. So it is our demand. The upcoming third wave is knocking at the door. Well-planned unlock down is needed. Mass vaccination for whole population. Our leaders can use the opportunity. India is one of the biggest producer of doctors. Every year, 70,000 doctors is being graduated. So least that should be done to decrease doctor in act to acknowledge deceased doctor, those who are dying, at least acknowledge their contribution. To sum up, in the first wave, there is more doctor infection and death in high-income countries. In the second wave, more doctor infection and death in low and middle-income countries. PPE and surgical mask, poor surgical hygienic standard, bad nursing care, hospital-acquired infection, PPE non-use, all those are causes of doctors' infection and death. So IIT Kanpur model has made that it is a key responsibility to save yourself. Last time when IIT Kanpur model told that second wave is coming, nobody believed. Now at least now we have to believe IIT Kanpur model. The 15 July onwards, COVID third wave is coming. Peak expected in September, October. Get ready. So there is a joke going on. People are rushing out of the home to see the third wave. So remember doctor's sacrifice of today for your better tomorrow. So July 1 this year is not a happy doctor's day, but a day for remembering our doctor martyrs who have fallen in COVID pandemic, COVID martyrs day. Let's remember famous quote by Martin Luther King Jr. Injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. Up to this is my talk. I have opened my soul to tell everything. So I only want to awaken the world. Thank you everyone for patient hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Pal. Thank you for your lucid and mind-blowing presentation. Your practical experiences enrich our knowledge about the enormous sacrifice of the doctors towards the people throughout the world. Sir, your detailed elaboration about the protection of COVID-19 and their primitive measures to combat this pandemic must able to gather knowledge to prevent third wave. Thank you, sir. Now, some questions have been displayed in the chat box. So I request Mr. Sumallo Kormakar, one of the joint convener, to convey the questions to the respective speaker. Sumallo.
Thank you.
Just a minute, Shumalo. You just take 2 or 3 questions, okay?
Okay,
2
madam.
or 3
Okay.
questions, because it's already another speaker is there, so it is
Okay.
12:32. So just take 2. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Thank you very much for your nice talk. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So, sir, the first question that we have over here is, there has been a severe pandemic in the last month of May, and the demand for beds in hospitals have increased, and there was also a high demand for oxygen. And then we had a news that has come out that the support of ICMO is very much needed. But is it but it is known that the support is not available everywhere. So the question is, what exactly is this, and why this support is not everywhere, and how can we make it more affordable?
Now, as a doctor, what we think that maximum 5 to 10% patients need admission. So that's why, and consider even if you can arrange bed for many persons, but initially that West Bengal Doctors Forum has made some group of doctors we can be called in over the telemedicine consultation, that that how to do, what to do, and when to get admitted, and in the meantime when there is no patient, no bed in the hospital or no oxygen. So we have West Bengal Doctors Forum has made interim relief center, so people can contact them and the advice and the majority of the patient, I personally believe majority of the infection is mild, and people should know how to manage themselves and save their own family members. And government should manage more number of beds accordingly needed. So on the one side is the doctors are advising that a majority of the patient can be treated at home. Those who need treatment needs arrangement. The government will make. Government of West Bengal is making their level best in the COVID hospital to make it. So this, and but in between there is a communication gap. What I felt about the patients, and they are moving from one hospital to another. So this government of West Bengal has made two center for this communication. One at PG hospital, another is Sastro Bhavan. And there is a toll-free number, and everyone can get an advice what to do and not to do, and where to get the bed and oxygen, etc. This much I can tell about in West Bengal scenario.
Thank you, sir. Sir, we have the last question, which is almost the question of every one of us who has asked it. After recovery from COVID, when can a person take their first or the second dose of vaccine?
It is recommended at 90 days.
Okay.
90 days is the standard advice. 90 days is the standard advice to get the second dose of vaccine. Let me be clear. I think this question has two parts. Suppose a person has taken one dose of vaccine, and before getting second dose of vaccine, he got infected and got treated. So after the person becomes symptomless, and then 90 days. If the person has not taken any dose of vaccine, then again first dose after 90 days and second dose as scheduled. This part is clear?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Clear. Sir, it is clear, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, this is clear, sir. This question answer is clear, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your valuable answer towards the audience. Thank you, Sumallo. Thank you for your continuous engagement in this session. So now we are going to start the last technical session of the webinar. The speaker is Dr. Dev Prasad Chattopadhyay. Dr. Chattopadhyay is serving as Scientist G and Director at ICMR National Institute of Traditional Medicine, Belagavi, Karnataka since August 2016. With the liaison from ICMR Virus Unit, Kolkata, where he served as Scientist B2F. He has received the postdoctoral training from the London Hospital Medical College, London, and Statens Serum Institute, Copenhagen. He did his PhD from Jadavpur University in 1989. His research field includes various aspects of hypnomedicine, including microbiology, virology, and molecular biology, to identify leads against difficult to treat infections through validation of purity, safety, and potency of traditional practices with molecular mechanism of action. His work on identifying antiviral, anti-infective, anti-inflammatory has been highly acclaimed with publications of journals of global repute. He has established personal contact with diverse ethnic tribes of document and validate their age-old healthcare practices and translate traditional wisdom into medical innovations. Dr. Chattopadhyay is created with 8 patents, 4 leads, 55 popular science articles, and 148 research papers in peer-reviewed journals of repute, including reviews, chapters, and books. He is serving as an editor of the prestigious Frontiers in Pharmacology, section editor, Mini Review and Medical Chemistry, editorial board member, Journal of Pharmacology, etc. Dr. Chattopadhyay is a fellow of the British Society of for Antimicrobial Chemotherapy and served as invited member interdisciplinary technical review committee of COVID-19 for patients and respiratory medicine. And he also the member of the interdepartmental committee for identifying viable new system of medicine, Ministry of Health and FW, Government of India. Member of interdisciplinary Ayush Research and Development Task Force Working Group. He also the member of the DST ACRG Project Advisory Committee and Young Scientist Areas Expert Committee. He also the member of the Board of Studies of the Pharmaceutical Technology, Jadavpur University, member of Research Advisory Board, Chemical Technology, Calcutta University, etc. He has produced 17 PhD till date and completed 17 national task force projects on ethnomedicine and marginalized communication of India, and is the member of the review of approval committee of several funding agencies. He successfully planned and established a state-of-art diagnostic COVID-19 lab at ICMR NITM with the help of Government of Karnataka that tested more than 2.2 lakh samples already serving the people during pandemic. He has published 8 scientific articles on COVID-19, and the institute is engaged in the work of a traditional herbal formulation to combat COVID-19 infection. So now, I would like to request Dr. Chattopadhyay to start his valuable presentation. Dr. Chattopadhyay.
Thank you so much for your lucid introduction. And first of all, I convey my sincerest thanks and gratitude to Dr. Mrs. Nivedita Chakraborty, the principal, Victoria Institution College, Professor Dr. Manoj Chakraborty, my former director boss from NICED, convener of Calcutta chapter Science Congress, and a number of laurels in his head. Professor Chakraborty actually contacted me. I'm grateful to him. I must tell the name of Dr. Auranga Mohan Chandra, to whom I know for long, Dr. Srimati, Honorable Madam Srimati Vijay Lakshmi Saxena, Dr. Subhendu Chandra, and my previous speaker, Dr. Ranbir Pal, and all the attendees of this webinar. Today, my talk is COVID-19, science and societal impact of this particular pandemic. You see, my presentation has two parts. One is the scientific part, what science has learned from this particular virus, and second, what society has learned and want to do or society has to do. These two parts, it may take 35 to 40 minutes time to cover up the entire pact of presentation. Now, first of all, what is COVID-19? You all know, so I'm not going in detail, but the thing is that every virus has its family history. It has the family of Coronaviridae, order Nidoviralis, and it has double single-stranded RNA genome, 26 to 32 kilobase length, a very precise 29 to 30. Now, this is an enveloped positive sense single-stranded RNA virus, and it has got 4 subgroups: alpha, beta, gamma, delta. Gamma and delta belongs to animal and bird viruses, whereas alpha and beta, 4 of the earlier viruses discovered in 60s, 229E and NL63, as well as OC43 and HKU1. These 4 viruses are already in the community and are responsible for 15 to 20% of infection, mild infection as a flu-like symptoms. But 3 of the later discovered viruses of the beta subgroup are SARS, MERS, and SARS coronavirus 2. Now, COVID-19, therefore, is an infectious disease caused by a virus already we know called as severe acute respiratory syndrome. The disease it produced actually called coronavirus 2. It was first identified in Wuhan, Hubei province of China in December 2019 and spread globally, resulting in the ongoing pandemic. Till date, it infected more than 18.297 crore people with 39.62 lakhs deaths across the globe over 217 countries as on 1st July today. Till date, 10 vaccines, 3 in India, are in emergency used, but there is no specific antiviral drug for this particular virus. Now, I'm just going to talk about some its biology of the virus and the host, actually, interaction of host virus rather. So what is outbreak? Number of disease cases increased more than anticipated in a particular endemic area, which if we are unable to control, it may lead to an epidemic, is called an outbreak. Disease that affect a large number of people within a region or community and population is called as epidemic. And epidemic of global nature is called as pandemic, pan-epidemic. This is the what science are going to learn, or science lesson for science actually. And you see, confined to an area is called as endemic. Now, what is virus? This definition was put forward by us in 1999. It's a very point-sized definition. You know, viruses are the vital members of the web of life, but it challenges the very concept of living. They are ultra microscopic, are cellular, nucleoprotein particles, metabolically inert, with or without a lipid envelope, and they contain gene strands of either RNA or DNA, but never both. They are obligate intracellular parasites, utilized host cell machinery to propagate and cause ailments as benign as a wart, as irritating as a cold, or to as deadly as the bloody African fever and as ferocious as COVID-19. Some can spread easily and kill swiftly, mostly have no cure or no vaccine. Now they have their characteristics are numerous invasion strategies viruses have. Each strain of a virus has its own unique configuration of surface molecule that enable the virus to enter into the host cell by precisely fitting their surface molecule with the molecule of the target cell. The major evolutionary advantage to this teeny form of life is genetic variation. They have double-stranded DNA, single-stranded DNA virus, double-stranded RNA, single-stranded RNA virus, single-stranded plus sense RNA, single-stranded minus sense RNA. There are variety of transmission from fecal-oral route to any route, even through to blood also, efficient replication and ability to persist within the host like herpes virus. As a consequence, they adapted to all forms of life and occupied numerous ecological niches with widespread diseases in plants, livestock, and human. Now, they are positive sense single-stranded RNA virus with crown-like appearance, that means coronum in Latin, due to presence of spike-shaped glycoprotein on their envelope. The genome characterization revealed that probably bat and rodents are the gene source of alpha and beta coronaviridae. However, coronavirus 2 may spill over from bat to human via pangolin as an intermediate host. Studies still going on. Round to elliptical or sometimes pleomorphic with 60 to 140 nanometer diameter, and they are sensitive to UV light, UV rays, and heat. The coronaviruses use ACE2 or CD147 as a receptor in human as the route of entry. Now, angiotensin converting enzyme, as you know, it's a part of renin-angiotensin system that control our blood pressure by regulating the fluid volume, and converting angiotensin 1 to active vasoconstrictor angiotensin 2. Therefore, it indirectly increases blood pressure by vasoconstriction. And ACE2 inhibitors are used to treat cardiovascular diseases. So there is a relationship. And I will tell you later on what are the relationship with this particular virus. Initially, I told probably 8th April of 2020 that this virus is originate from animals, so it will be animalistic in behavior. It has lost its host, so it will be aggressive due to loss of host to find a new host. And it has happened. Secondly, the major events occurred during the outbreak of COVID-19. You all know, I am not going to discuss, but you see origin of bat to camel is MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome coronavirus from camel, then SARS coronavirus from civet cat, and SARS coronavirus 2 probably from pangolin, because study is going on. Now, genome characterization, COVID-2 genome, about 30 kilobase, it encodes 4 major structural protein: spike protein, membrane protein, envelope protein, and nucleocapsid protein. Spike protein facilitated the entry into the target cell. Spike protein has three structural features. One is the short intracellular tail, then transmembrane anchor, and a large ectoderm or ectodomain that consists of 2 receptors, one receptor binding domain or motif, and second is membrane fusing subunit or domain. I will tell later on the characteristic of these two and why these two are very, very important in case of establishing the infection of this virus and in developing of drug as well as vaccine. Now, sequence analysis of spike protein showed 75% homology with the SARS coronavirus 1, and receptor binding domain of S protein is conjured between coronavirus 1 and 2. That suggests that coronavirus strain used the same ACE2 receptor for entry. And incubation period is 2 to 14 days and median is 5 to 5.1 days. But it was also found that the incubation period is more than 20 days, that is 24 days. This is a publication of that nature. Now, clinical presentation is transmission. You all know, I'm not going in detail. Now, infection and pathology. The coronavirus patients are divided into symptomatic, pre-symptomatic, asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, symptomatic, 3 stages. Now, what is asymptomatic? Combating coronavirus lies on preventing its spread, because you see, developing an antiviral drug is not easy, and last 50 years there is no antiviral developed. Secondly, virus contain DNA or RNA as their genome, and with a protein or glycoprotein or protein or glycoprotein or lipoprotein in their outer cover. So it is not a cell. So there is the question is killing a virus is very difficult, and the genome of virus has the similarity with the human also. So if you target a virus genome, that may also harmful to the patients. Therefore, almost all antivirals are toxic in nature. So developing an antiviral is not very easy. But so combating SARS coronavirus lies on preventing its spread either through vaccination or through social care. But how? When people are unaware about their infection. So what are the differences between asymptomatic, pre-symptomatic, and symptomatic cases? An RT-PCR positive but does not feel unwell a person when the person is RT-PCR positive but not feel any Unwellness may develop symptom later, but now they are contiguous before developing symptom is called asymptomatic. This is the early stage of the virus passed from person to person. It is unclear how many transmission happen from asymptomatic cases because country to country it varies. Understanding the transmission of virus from asymptomatic carrier is very, very useful or trivial as it requires widespread testing and more data. Many cases, the infected people have a very mild form of disease and common symptoms include, cough, fever, tiredness, which may not be noticeable or very atypical with the other symptoms also. So, in the infected people are incubating the virus, when the infected people are incubating the virus without symptom, and the symptom might develop 5 to 6 days to 2 weeks. Thus, time between catching the virus and showing the symptom is typically called as pre-symptomatic phase, and this is much common than the asymptomatic one. About 75% of the people who test positive without symptom turn out to be pre-symptomatic and displaying the features of the virus, symptoms of the virus. Some cases picked up through tracing are silent spreader who later may develop symptom, and some people can test positive for the virus 1 to 3 days before they develop symptom. So these asymptomatic and pre-symptomatic cases are called as silent spreader. So the virus has the ability to produce silent epidemic in any area. So this underlines the importance of personal distancing, regular hand washing, and good hygiene. The term social distancing is a misnomer, rather you can say personal distancing. So what symptoms are coming, I'm not going to describe this detail. Now, cases we don't know about. Alongside with the silent spreader, there are cases of non-documented infection, the people who have symptom but don't get tested for any reason. The volume of these undocumented cases is much harder to get than the documented one, and this one is responsible for the second wave and maybe for the third wave also. Now, COVID testing, there are direct testing of the antigen, indirect antibody testing, and gold standard testing. There are several methods. And how the virus enter? Virus enter through the goblet and ciliated cells of our nose and mouth and eyes and attached with the cell surface receptor ACE2. Then the virus hijack the host cell machinery to produce progeny viruses. Now, infected people may be asymptomatic or may have some symptoms as well. If the immune system is unable to fight back, the virus goes down through the windpipe and infect lung. Lung alveoli cells have two different types of cells, pneumocytes 1 and 2. Pneumocytes 1 are very thin and teeny layer. I will describe in a later slide, and they are rich in ACE2. These thin type 1 cells are responsible for exchanging carbon dioxide and oxygen in the blood. Now, in this phase, immune system stimulate WBC to release inflammatory cytokines, and that bring more cells to the infected area, and then it convert into a network-like things called as netosis. The fluid, dead cells, all are trapped into the netosis, accumulate in the alveolar space, leading to reduced gas exchange. Thus, the infected person need oxygen support. And in the last stage, the condition may be worsened to ARDS, and then blood oxygen drop. Patient needs ventilation. If the alveoli filled up with the fluid, WBC, mucus, lung cell, debris, etc., it may lead to multi-organ failure also. Now, this is actually the structure of the virus and different proteins actually. This spike protein, it has got receptor binding domain, attaches with the ACE2 receptor, and then this portion, the S2 portion of the spike protein, fusion portion of the spike protein, cleaves two proteins. One is the transmembrane protease serine 2 and another is furin. So this is the overall structure and mechanism of infection from this virus. Now this is the multiplication or virus life cycle in susceptible host. In any viruses, there are 6 steps in their life cycle. First of all, the virus bind with the ACE2 receptor, and this is called through the S1 of S protein, spike protein. This RBD actually bind to ACE2 receptor, and then S protein change its configuration and allow fusion to viral envelope with cell membrane using endosomal pathway called as endocytosis. This is the area where we can intervene and stop this. And this area is continuously changing by the variant of this virus. Actually, what happened? Why variants come? I'll tell later on. Because you see, viruses are multiplying, and their multiplication rate is much more than the higher organism. When they multiply, they do some mistake. And as quickly as they multiply, the mistake will be much more. But compared to other mRNA virus, this virus's mistake is less. I'll tell later on why. Now, after releasing the single-stranded RNA, it goes for translation to virus polymerase protein with the help of RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. And then RNA replication starts, and then subgenomic particles of spike protein, envelope protein, and other proteins produces. These are then assembled into the endoplasmic reticulum and then finally covered up with the Golgi complex and come out from the cells to infect the new lung cells or new lung tissues. So viruses releases its RNA and then combine. Actually, already I have told. Now, how it establishes infection? First of all, to establish infection, virus has to overcome the host defense barrier and non-specific innate immunity. Then it stops the attack the NK cells for killing infected cells because it's released IFN1, interferon 1. Coronavirus to suppress non-specific immune response and direct host cell to produce viral papain-like protease. This papain-like protease help the virus in maturation and release new virus particle, as well as to suppress the host IFN release, interferon 1 release, which is actually host antiviral molecule. Now, blocking PL-PRO by non-covalent inhibitor by some scientists showed that it inhibit virus production, strengthen host immune response. That is a double sword against this particular virus. And PL-PRO of coronavirus 2 cleaves of interferon stimulated gene 15 by cellular protease more than other SARS viruses. That is why it leads for greater inhibition of TNF1 production also. So these are some of the publications on this particular infection establishing mechanism. You can study or you can read it to get more deeper knowledge. Now, how it affects lung. This is a normal lung, healthy lung. Gas exchange takes place, and this is actually the structure of alveoli. You see type 1 alveolar cell and type 2 alveolar cell. Actually, each air sac called alveoli is supplied with capillaries where RBC releases carbon dioxide and take up oxygen. The thin alveolar cells, type 1, responsible for gas exchange. But as they are very thin, they can overlap each other. To prevent that, the type 2 cells releases a surfactant, and that surfactant lubricates the type 1 pneumocyte cells to be active. Now the virus attacked this type 2 and type 1 cell first to stop the production of surfactant, and therefore the
Dr. Chattopadhyay.
Hello.
Dr. Chattopadhyay, sorry to disturb you. That your slide, I think, is not moving. Something wrong here.
Just a minute.
Just you go to that portion from the beginning. You don't need to start.
Okay.
You just what you are telling. You just go there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Sorry to disturb you.
Why it is not? Just a minute, madam.
Okay. Okay. Sorry to disturb you.
যন্ত্রের যন্ত্রণা এদেরকে বলে যন্ত্রের যন্ত্রণা
আসলে বলাটা ভালো হচ্ছিল বলে আমি ডিস্টার্ব করছিলাম না
সরি দেখুন তো দেখা যাচ্ছে কিনা
না এখন তো হ্যাঁ এবার ঠিক আছে দেখা যাচ্ছে বাট মুভ করছে না স্লাইড গুলো মুভ করছে না
আচ্ছা এবারে আমি চেষ্টা করছি যাতে মুভ
এখন আপনি ওই জায়গাটায় গেছেন বাট মুভিং ওটা যে পরপর আপনার স্লাইড শোতে যাবে সেইটা যায়
আরেকটা যাও পরেরটায় যাও তাহলে
And this is the SARS coronavirus 2 entered in the nose, mouth, or eyes.
Okay.
Travel to the tiny air sac, and that place where gas exchange occurred. Now, virus spike protein bind to the AC2 receptor on alveolar cell type 2 and infect or inject its RNA. The viral RNA then takes control over the pneumocyte cell and produce numerous virus copies by killing the cell also, but then it releases into the, and the new cell releases into the alveolus to attack the new alveolar cells. Now, when the infection is moderate to severe, impaired gas exchange takes place. Why? Because when immune cells attack the infection area, some healthy cells or healthy alveolar cells killed, resulting hindrance in gas exchange due to collapse of alveoli as a loss of surfactant type 2 cells. Then blood gets less oxygen due to loss of type 1 cells also, and more fluid enters into the enters or accumulated in the alveolus. Now, what happened in severe cases? Now, immune response. I am just comparing the immune response with the different steps. This is actually we create these things for understanding. After infection, type 2 cells release inflammatory signals to recruit macrophage. Macrophage releases cytokine, cause vasodilation, which allow more cells to reach into the entry site. This is the time when symptom may develop. Now, shortness of breath starts when fluid accumulates inside the alveoli, which I told earlier, and fluid dilutes surfactant, triggering alveolar collapse, reduce gas exchange with increased frequency of breathing. Pneumonia may develop. Now, this requires hospitalization because neutrophil recruited for at infection site to release ROS, reactive oxygen species, just to destroy the infected cells. But the irony is that all these cells collectively form a network called as netosis, and that trapped all the neutrophils and the neutrophil recruited cells so that virus cannot be damaged, rather host cell can damage itself. Now, collapse of alveoli rise to damage T type 1 and type 2 cells that cause acute respiratory distress syndrome. In severe inflammation, protein-rich fluid entered the bloodstream, traveled to whole body, causing systemic inflammatory response syndrome. That's why scientists are of opinion that if a patient admitted into the hospital with shortness of breath, within 48 hours, his blood should be tested for the presence of virus by RT-PCR test. If the blood contains virus, that means the virus come out from the lung and traveling to other organ. And as ACE2 receptor is available in every organ, so the virus can damage any organ and multi-organ failure may take place. In severe inflammation, protein-rich fluid enter bloodstream, travel to the whole blood, causing systemic inflammatory response syndrome, and SIDS may lead to severe shock or multi-organ failure, but some people can revert from this. Very less percentage of people succumb to these things, but it depends on the strain and the condition of the patient also. So this is actually how this is the healthy alveolus and this is the injured alveolus. What is happening here, which we called as actually the surge of immune response rather, or you can cytokine storm, what you were calling about, due to release of TNF alpha, IL-6 particularly, then IL-8, then ROS and several proteases activated the neutrophil, forming the cellular debris that actually accumulated, and everything then go to the blood and from blood to other organ of the body. So this is the damaging event occurred with this virus. Now this virus not only cause damage to the lung, it can cause heart, blood vessels, kidney, intestine, brain, and many parts. 2 days earlier, one of my very close friends died due to COVID in Amri Hospital. It affects also the kidney in his case. And the psychological impact is too much. You see, anxiety to stress, to panic, to frustration, to post-traumatic stress, everything. So we have not only treat the patient, the doctors and the scientists together, the society has to treat the patient psychology also. Now, long-lasting health effect study from Hong Kong, 2 studies from Hong Kong with earlier coronavirus one showed that 2 years after the disease, 50% of the survivor had much poorer exercise capacity and health status. 78% of such patients unable to return to full-time work even after 1 year of infection. Another Hong Kong study revealed that 40% of the people recovering from SARS had chronic fatigue up to 3.5 years after diagnosis. SARS coronavirus and epistrine virus, They both trigger the chronic fatigue syndrome that can last for months to years, and long-lasting effect are weakened heart, reduced lung capacity, brain and kidney damage, and deterred cognition. Although the fatality rate of the major virus outbreak in last 50 years showed that compared to Marburg, Nipah, Hendra, and other viruses, the fatality rate is less. Now it is much more. Rather, in the first wave, it was less actually. It is a 28 February 2021 data. Now, another thing which science has learned, or science is still learning, immunity and immune system, the role of immunity and immune system in this particular viral disease. You see, immune system is made but not born, and food and environment is important. It is made up of various cells, organ, proteins. I'm not going to teach you the immune system, but I'm just representing these things. And you see, we have two types of immunity, innate and acquired, and how these two are balanced. Actually, a strong immune system is best antidote against any infection. As long as your immune system runs smoothly, you do not feel anything. Okay. Now, this is innate immune system and this is adaptive immune system. They have interrelationship, actually interplay between the two very sophisticated system of the two wings. And it starts in hourly basis also. I'll tell later on adaptive immune and innate immune system. And in timeline, adaptive immunity interact with innate immunity at later stage by activation of lymphocytes. And the kinetics of innate and adaptive immune systems are here approximate, and this may vary depending upon the infectious particle and the host. Now, imbalance of this immune system, particularly imbalance of due to, and as the virus stopped the release of type 1 interferon due to blocking, so alveolar epithelium and other cells are damaged, and that actually monocyte macrophages do not able to or unable to interact properly, and they releases a number of cytokine like a storm that is called as cytokine storm. So more detail you can study from the reprint of this particular paper. Now, interplay between immune system and SARS coronavirus in COVID-19 patient. You see, there are certain points I'm just going to talk about. Actually, pathway showing 4 different ways of interference of SARS coronavirus with the immune system. Number 1, it upregulated NK cells. NK cells, NKG2A is the receptor due to viral infection. Is unregulated NK cell receptor, goes for high NK cell exhaust, and their functions are interrupted and NK cells exhausted. Secondly, expression of cytokine components like IL-1, IL-2, IL-8, interferon, TNF-alpha and interferon gamma. They induced expression to interleukin 6 and 17. That T cell exhaustion occurs due to activation of Treg because of CCS, because of this type of cytokine stress syndrome, and ultimately it reduces CD8 T cells and goes for thrombocytopenia. So adaptive immune response is also hampered, and Treg cells go for it, is unable to cope up with the event. So prolonged ER stress actually with UPR activates NK cells, NFKB pathway. This is, you know, NFKB pathway is a prominent pathway or a very important pathway for viral replication, and that leads to inflammation also, leading to pathogenesis of airway disease. So actually, inflammation takes place due to multiple events at a time. So as the virus stops certain things in the body, and that is unable, and therefore the body unable to cope up. Okay, so pathogenesis of this particular disease is hyperinflammation. You can go for this paper of Savires et al. In Archives in Virology, published in 2021 May. Now, cross-reactive T cell memory, you have heard about this. 20 to 50% of COVID-19 patients, COVID-19 uninfected people may harbor memory T cell from previous exposure of seasonal common cold caused by 4 of the coronaviruses, 2 alpha virus, 2 beta virus, which I already told. Now, memory T cell can cross-react with COVID-2 also because they are in the same group. They provide robust responses. Pre-existing T cell, if you have, and that immunity could only reduce COVID-19 severity, but cannot stop the virus to enter. People with high level of pre-existing memory CD4 T cell recognize COVID-2 and can mount faster and stronger immune response upon exposure that limit the severity of the disease and probably the death. You can read this paper. Memory T cell in achieving herd immunity. There is a question of herd immunity. No, many will be. What is herd immunity? Now, many will be infected, few would be die. Okay, ill and die. So activation of cross-reactive memory T cell can develop plasma cell, produce antibody and killer T cell to kill the infected cell and reduce the disease, but cannot able to prevent the disease. So cross-reactive pre-existing memory will not provide immunity or protection or herd immunity, but help to mitigate or reduce the severity like a vaccine. Now, how to control viral infection? There are three ways in controlling any viral infection. One is the public health measure. That is why the washing of hand for every 20 seconds if you are in outside, physical distancing for 3 to 6 feet, use of triple layer mask during talking, and avoid touching anything, or rather talking with the person for more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Now, vaccination is the second one. We know vaccination tamed several viral diseases from smallpox to hepatitis, but several like influenza, HIV, AIDS cannot. And third is the prophylactic or infected individuals for drug development. Now, to prevent transmission, scientists around the world now understand how SARS coronavirus spread from respiratory droplets, fomites, aerosol, and in surrounding air, but not in the outside air. It affects lung and airways, go for symptom or asymptomatic but transmissible, and cause pneumonia to organ failure to death. Human Cell Atlas Consortium database showed that ACE2 receptor can available in lung, nasal cavity, eye, gut, heart, kidney, liver, any cell rather. And receptors ACE2 and transmembrane serine protease, these two activates virus entry in the cells of inner lining of our nose, and this is the initial route. And as I told, the mucus producing goblet and the ciliated cells, their highest number, they contain highest amount of ACE2 and transmembrane serine proteins. Some coronaviruses are activated by this transmembrane protein serine serine 2 and inhibited by this inhibitor, and such coronavirus uses the receptor ACE2 for entry and serine protease 2 for priming. Now, if we target these two, and rather we are able to get good result by testing these things. I will come on later on two of our publication. You can go for phytomedicine in 2020 and general molecular structure and design in 2021. And these are the cells: nasal to lung to lumen, heart, eye, liver, placenta, prostate, brain, pancreas, kidney, bladder. So anywhere the virus can able to enter. Now, treatment opportunities are development of vaccine, repurposing of existing antiviral or other drugs, finding potent peptide and antibodies for neutralization, phytophores from traditional recipe, polypharmacology, and the discovery mode may be targeting host virus interaction, which we are trying, and computer modeling of drugs and to accelerate drug discovery by combining artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, development of vaccine. You see, vaccine development in classical way took a lot of time, 15 years or more. But here what happened, phase 1 and phase 2 trials are conducted in simultaneously, and phase 3 after interim analysis of the 1 and 2 results. That's why many of the, particularly 2-3, the vaccine which are going in the India, which are rolling in India, we do not know the detailed literature also, and particularly Covaxin is still unable to produce the total literature to WHO. That's why the people, those who have taken Covaxin, may not go to the foreign country right now because of embargo. So phase 3, after interim analysis of phase 1 and phase 2 results, they conducted phase 3 with several trial stages running parallel. And meantime, the producers start the large-scale production of vaccine candidate, which was happened, and pathway to licensing and emergency use authorization. This was actually unclear from the scientific point of view, but it reduces the time of developing a vaccine from few months to 1.5 year, 10 months to 1.5 year. You probably remember that we got these 2 vaccines within 7-8 months of the disease. And all you know what is vaccine. My definition is immunogenic biological substance, dead or weakened part of the microbe, when introduced into the body, help to produce future infection against certain diseases by producing specific memory via immune recognition and distract the invading microbes or part of the microbes. Now, COVID-19 vaccine development, HIV approach. What is this? Vaccine science has made enormous stride with the rapidly mutating virus like the most challenging HIV. Experience on more than 24-5 years of painstaking research work helped the researcher to reduce timeline for developing COVID vaccine. There are 5 ways: antibody development, chimpanzee adenovirus vector use, DNA, mRNA, human adenovirus vector use. These are the way people are developing vaccine. Now there are 3 vaccines in the Indian market already. Oxford AstraZeneca, the vector is a adenovirus. Then we have our Bharat Biotech and ICMR vaccine. It's nothing but a whole virus is deactivated by beta propionate. And Zydus cadila Zycovid, DNA introduced virus or DNA material, and mRNA virus by modern NIAID, that is also coming in later stage. We have Sputnik Russia vaccine also. I have not included here later on. Now what happened? The overview of the process of primary immune response. If you get a vaccine or get an infection, vaccine means the mimicking virus or the inactivated virus or the part of the virus that may not cause the disease, but our body does not understand the entered virus or entered pathogen is living or dead. It only recognizes the pathogen through its surface epitope. So when the antigen virus introduced in the macrophage adopts the pathogen, phagocytosis is adopted. Now pathogen is broken down into components into the phagolysosome, and that is projected in its outside. Our T lymphocyte receptor portion recognize these pathogens, and they activated the killer T cell to produce the cytotoxic T cell to destroy the infected cells altogether. Another is the first specific antibody against the antigen is developed by B lymphocyte. B lymphocyte goes in 2 ways. Either they proliferate to produce plasma cell that produce specific antibody, or directly from the macrophage they got the information and produce antibody to cater or to control the incoming pathogen. Or B lymphocyte undergoes the expansion of memory T cells. Now memory cells can later introduce the secondary immune response upon renewed contact. Now what happened? Then this is actually the first vaccine or first infection. Now when second vaccine dose is there, then these things are not repeated, and these things takes 7 to 13 days time. Once you take a first vaccine and the second dose is called as boosting dose. What boosting? Because already B cell produces, B lymphocyte produces more plasma cells and more memory cells. So memory cell and plasma cell goes for antibody production to handle the pathogen directly. And that is actually, this is the training time of the host. Now Indian strains isolate, whether it is super spreader. We have at our institute isolated 2 viruses from very acute cases and go for their genome analysis, sequence genomes. We have found 8 mutations, and this phylogenetic tree, this was published in American Society for Microbiology Journal, Microbial Resource Announcement, first and only from India, and it has been featured in the journal cover page. Now the next strain classification, you see this virus is a product of recombination between bat SARS coronavirus, like coronavirus 2, and probably pangolin coronavirus resulted from coronavirus 2 by cross-specific transmission. Mutations lead to several SARS coronavirus 2 variants, and I'm talking about variants. What is variant? When virus multiply, there is some mistake. So that mistake means some mutation, either a single amino acid substitution or replacement of more than 1 amino acid. These type of functional mutation leads to variants. So how we stop variants? To stop variants, we have to stop the viral multiplication. That means we have to stop the spread of the virus. This is the only way. Now, there are several variants. This is from WHO site. WHO label alpha, beta, gamma, delta, delta plus, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, lota, kappa, lambda. Now, this is the pangolin lineage. Don't go for understanding all these things. And the next strain clade and GS clade earlier documented alpha virus, alpha variant B1, B.1.1.7 to 2020 UK September, we got it, and 18 December it was designated as alpha. And this is the date in which we have designated. But most important is delta and delta plus you are learning about. I'll go detail a little bit. What is that delta and delta plus? And another is coming in the way from Peru in December 2020, designated on 14 June 2021 is lambda. So whether we got lambda, whether D plus go for more modifications, yes, virus can modify at any time because this is the nucleoprotein only, there is no cell also, because we are also mutating every day, every second. Virus is also. So it's a natural event. You cannot stop mutation. You cannot stop the productivity of a productive virion. Now, double mutant you have learned about. Now, B1.617 is delta variant. It has already 15 to 17 mutation, also known as G452RV3. From Maharashtra, it was reported on 5th October as a double mutant. It has, you see, it has the substitution at 484 amino acid, glutamate to glutamine, 452 amino acid leucine to arginine, and proline to arginine in 681 amino acid. Now, individually, these are not very important. But when they combine together, they call as double mutant. What they are doing? They have stronger binding ability to human ACE2, better ability to evade our immune system. And probably this is close. Another thing is by combining, they decrease the recognition by immune system. So if immune system cannot able to recognize the incoming pathogen, then how they produce the antibodies or produce the reaction to tackle the pathogen? Now, boost cellular infectivity by cleavage of S protein. This is very important. Protein to arginine conversion. And this, there are three sublineage or subtypes: B1, B1.61, 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3. 2 is particularly very important because it has another substitution from lysine to glutamate and 417 amino acid. And that may go for another variations also. So virus will vary and variant will come. Individually, these mutations are not unique, but their simultaneous occurrence is. So double mutation occurs in S protein gene, always the mutation occurring in S protein gene. So we don't have to, we may be unable to block the ACE2 because that may produce certain disadvantage. But if we block the other part of the other proteins of the host, which is interacting with the virus, that's why we told that double mutant is misleading, as globally coronavirus 2 is perpetual change due to continuous mutation. So emerging research suggests variants may be more transmissible than the previous one, but the effectiveness of current vaccine against the variant is under investigation. Some people are telling whether the vaccine will be effective or not. Now you see, the viruses do not change its morphology. It is changing its functionality. Only amino acid sequence changed. If the structural change is there, then virus may escape the vaccine. But this is not the part rather. Now, what are the predictive interplay of coronavirus 2 in human lung? There are two types of lungs. Actually, this paper was published from the Kulani Institute group actually. Their bioinformatics study indicated that the 614 genome, which I already told of COVID-19 2 subtype, harbor an additional mutation in the cleavage site S1, S2 junction. And that is specific for neutrophil elastase. This neutrophil elastase is of this S protein is a very important factor. Now, this neutrophil elastase, that level is modulated by its inhibitor alpha-1 antitrypsin. Now, anti-alpha 1 antitrypsin deficiency is highly prevalent in European and North American population, and that's why probably the first wave of this coronavirus was havoc in their part, but it is less in East Asian cases. Now, whether another thing is going on or not, we do not know, but for more detail, I'm just referring this infection and genetic evolution for this particular paper, so you may get more things. Because alpha antitrypsin deficient people have higher level of active neutrophil elastase, thus more susceptible to infection by 614 mutated type of virus, which we now call as Delta variant. Now, COVID-1 symptom in the first phase and second waves. First wave and second wave, no, not more differences, but death rate is, yes, definitely high. Though some of the agencies are not telling like this, and I cannot say in detail of this, but you people know more better, far better than me actually. So, prophylactic and therapeutic development. What are the site actually? For this for any viral disease, we have either viral target or cellular target. Now, viral target is the spike protein, particularly S1, S2, because this is the first one. And second, if virus entered, then envelope PL probe and 3CL probe, 3-chymotrypsin-like protease, which we called as M probe and main protease actually, and another is RNA-dependent RNA polymerase. But to block these things, we need nucleotide analogs, which we already have described and developed. There are 35 to 40 nucleoside analog derivatives. Now, new analog derivatives has not been developed in last 50 years. So is it true? Is it very thoughtful to find out any drug directly to kill the virus? Now, the second is we can block the host site, which is easy then to spread the virus. Type 2 pneumocyte, ACE2 and transmembrane protein serrage. And nasal passage is goblet cell, expression of these two, and ciliated cell. Now, ACE2 can be blocked, transmembrane serine protease can be blocked, furin can be blocked, cathepsin can be blocked, and others also. But if we block these two particularly, instead of ACE2, probably the virus cannot able to infect or spread in that way, which it is doing on. Okay, so these are trying, and we are the first from India to publish one paper showing these two should be the target, and it has been accepted. Now some people are working on this particular field. So current therapeutic strategies for this particular virus, you see remdesivir, because you see none of the antivirals, remdesivir or other vir means antiviral, lopinavir, none of them are specific to. They may inhibit RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, and they are discovered during study with the other viruses. That's why what I did, I made a chart. The inhibit or disrupt viral entry by chemostat mycilate. This is a plant compound. Then viral fusion, chloroquine, as you know, by increasing the endosomal pH. Then arbitol, membrane-mediated fusion blocker. Replication blocker is leflunomide. RNA-dependent RNA polymerase is remdesivir, ribavirin, and flavipiravir. 3-chymotrypsin-like protease by liponavir. These are antivirals. Viral exocytosis by interferon alpha-2a and interferon 1 receptor or IL cascade, anakinra and tocilizumab, that you know about because this drug was there is a story in medical college, and these actually protect the release of cytokines, or the cytokine storm protector, and decreased cytokine storm is thalidomide. Now, a generalized home remedy for asymptomatic and mild symptomatic cases have been proposed by WHO. This is an outline. Your doctor will tell you ivermectin, doxycycline combination, vitamin C, D, and zinc, acetylcysteine, and levocetrazine to prevent any anaphylactic. You see what happened. You know, the virus entered into the body. It goes within 14 to 20 days sometimes, but usually within 14 days. And then the viral damaged ssRNA or viral RNA, which is not very effective in that stage. But our body do not understand whether the virus is active or inactive. It shows that it produces antibody against those RNA and other proteins. and thereby the whole body undergoes in a destabilized memory condition. Hello? ঠিক আছে. Okay. So this is actually how ivermectin works. And this is 2-deoxy-D-glucose. You know that 2-deoxy-D-glucose is a 2-hydroxyl group replaced by the hydrogen. It cannot kill the virus directly. It actually starves the cell. Then from the traditional cannabinoid, study is going on to develop drug from cannabinoid. Some good results are there. And ACE2 receptor, transmembrane serine receptor, and furin receptor can be blocked by different compounds from plants, and target blocker can be developed. Some target blockers are used also. Then this is our protocol, phytopharmaceutical screening approach. We have developed this protocol and testing the virus, antiviral product against the virus, rather against the interaction of the virus and the host. And this is our phytopharmaceutical mediated nasooral nebulizer preparation. This is actually the flow chart how to prepare this. Now some clinical study is going on, and this is what happened. And omega-3 is another one. Now how society learned? Society learned that addressing hypertension, obesity, diabetes, CVD, these are the addressing COVID means addressing these things also. It was told by the editor-in-chief Richard Horton of Lancet. Now he told it as a syndemic approach. Pandemic highlighted the need for understanding the disease outbreak. Syndemic required to understand its implication for non-communicable diseases and its impact on the society along with this pandemic. So a set of linked health problems with 2 or more afflictions interacting synergistically and contributing excess burden of the disease in population, that need to be tested, that need to be catered actually. So now in this situation, society looks for societal, environment and economic factors. So we need to mitigate the impact of the virus and disease burden through holistic approach. Targeting all these matter. No matter how effective your treatment is, the biomedical solution of COVID-19 will fail until and unless we convert it, or we think in this in a holistic way, or mitigate the impact of this disease. Now, society needs hope. Economic crisis will not be solved by a drug or vaccine, but national revival, and that is required actually. And future, what happens? Scientists believe that this virus may stay for certain period of time. So more contactless interface, strengthening digital infrastructure, better monitoring, big data, artificial intelligence enabled drug development, telemedicine, online shopping, reliance of robot, because robots are not infected by the virus, more digital event, and biology to bad habits are also reported in this case. And do you know, more men are dying from COVID than the women because of the biology to bad habits. Women tend to have stronger immune system, and they are less prevalent is CVD, high blood pressure and liver diseases are less in women and more in men. Men involved in more risky behavior, and also the men have more higher ACE2 in blood than the women. And genetics due to extra X chromosome have a stronger immune system and response to infection than men. You can study this paper in Science for further details. So take home message, 2 gaj ka duri, mask jaruri. Whether you are vaccinated or not, it doesn't matter. Wash hand with soap water frequently, and jab tak dawai nahi, tab tak koi dhilai nahi. Okay, so help keep each other safe. Stay home if unwell. And these are some of our valuable publications. You see, we have published 8 papers till date. 4 are here, and all are in a very reputed journal. These are the references, and thank you for your patience hearing. Over to host.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your lucid and mind-blowing presentation. Your detailed scientific approach has enriched our knowledge about COVID-19, the various characteristics of SARS coronavirus strains, and its bad impact on society has been explained elaborately, by which people can protect himself from the pandemic situation. This knowledge-based presentation has enormously encouraged us and able to aware to protect people from the spreading of coronavirus in the form of third wave. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, have any questions in the chat box, Sumallo? Sumallo?
No, presently we don't have any questions in the chat box.
So, due to non-availability of any questions in the chat box, so I think I will go directly to the validity session. So before going to the validity session, I am going to some information to the audience. In the chat box, we have already provided you a link of feedback form of the generation of e-certificate. After filling up the forms, you are eligible to collect e-certificate within 2 or 3 days through mail. The link will be activated up to 6 p.m. today. So now we are coming to extreme end to the one-day national webinar to celebrate Doctors' Day organized by Victory Institution College in collaboration with Indian Science Congress Association, Kolkata chapter. So now I request Mr. Sumallo Kormokar to express the vote of thanks in the program.
Sumallo, one or
Yes,
two
yes.
questions I am. One or two questions are there in the chat box. I am
Yes,
seeing them.
just now they have raised it.
Just now.
Yes. I will take it.
Request him, huh? Dr.
Okay.
Chattopadhyay.
Dr. Devprasad Chattopadhyay sir, we just
Yes.
have
Yes,
a few questions. If you can please answer them. So the first question that has been asked is, how long will it take for the first dose of vaccine to be effective?
Very nice question. As already I have presented, it takes maximum 7 to 14 days time.
Okay.
But during this first 7 to 14 days times, your innate immunity, we have two immunity, one innate and one adaptive. Innate immunity, actually the first, a non-specific immunity that will attack anything enter in our body. Okay. Now, this particular innate immunity will be busy after the first dose of the vaccine from the very 4 hours to 6 hours time, and it will continue up to 7 to 14 days, depending upon the patient's, upon the person's response or status of immunity. Now, during this stage, the person is much more vulnerable. That's why we used to say, after first vaccination, if you do not expose to virus yet, taking the first vaccine, then stay for 7-10 days to your home and then go out. Okay, at least first 7 to 10 days, take some precaution. If infection occurred in this particular period, it may be much more destructive.
Thank you, sir. One last question, maybe. After vaccination, if someone has a fever, then could this be due to the fact that the vaccine is more effective in the case of those person who is having fever than the person who is not?
Actually, you see what happened. If someone is talking to someone and few people may get irritated, few are calm and quiet. It happens like this. It does not matter the vaccine is more effective to those people, because those people, the vaccine created some effect, and those effects are due to push of the vaccine. Body is trying to remember or recognize. That's why this is the body's response. Just like if I আমি আপনাকে কিছু একটা বললাম, আপনি একভাবে রেসপন্স করলেন, আরেকজন আরেকভাবে রেসপন্স করলো, এটা হচ্ছে বডিজ রেসপন্স। কেমন? তার ইমিউনিটির উপর ডিপেন্ড করছে, ভ্যাকসিনের উপর। ভ্যাকসিন ইজ সেম, বাট সাম পিপল আর গিভিং সাম ইনফরমেশন, সাম নট, and it does not necessarily mean that his immunity is workable and others one is not. It's not like this. Okay, it's just a response.
Thank you very much, sir. Now,
So now, the wonderful question and answer and interactive session will help us to develop knowledge and to protect society from COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your answer, which motivate enormously to the audience.
আরেকটা
Thank
জিনিস
you, Sumallo.
আরেকটা জিনিস
Yes,
আমি
sir.
বলবো
Yes.
সবাইকে,
Yes.
মুড়ি মুরগির মতো কোনো কিছু খাওয়ার দরকার নেই। সঠিকভাবে জল খান, ঠিকমতো ঘুমোন, বেশি ভাবনা চিন্তা করবেন না, ঠিকঠাক সময়ে খাবার খান, প্রোটিন বেশি খান একটু। ভিটামিন মিনারেল দিয়ে ইমিউনিটি বুস্টার তখনই হয় যদি শরীরে কিছু ঢোকান, খাবার নয়। কিন্তু খাবার দিয়ে ইমিউন সিস্টেম বুস্ট করা এটা লং ব্যাপার, একদিন দুদিনে হয় না। হ্যাঁ, এবং হয় কিনা এটা নিয়েও কোশ্চেন মার্ক আছে। আপনারা সবাই জানেন যে কিছু ইনজেক্ট করলে তবে ইমিউন বুস্ট হয় বা ইমিউন মডুলেট করে। হ্যাঁ, ভিটামিন খেয়ে নিলাম আর ইমিউন মডুলেশন হয়ে গেল, এইটা কিন্তু মানে একটু ভেবে করা ভালো, সায়েন্সটা বুঝে। যারা আপনারা ফিজিওলজির ছাত্র আপনারা বেটার জানেন যে সায়েন্স মানে আমাদের ইমিউনিটি ইটস এ ভেরি ডেলিকেট অ্যান্ড ভেরি সফিস্টিকেটেড সিস্টেম। ইউর ইমিউনিটি ইজ ফার বেটার দেন পেন্টাগন। ওকে, so always try to restore it in a proper way. Your thought process can influence your WBC, and every immune cell has its own lifespan, so it's a delicate one. Think on it. Clear cut understanding in viral diseases na immune understanding is much more clear if you want to work with viruses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. So now we are come to the extreme end of the first international webinar to celebrate Doctors' Day, organized by Victory Institution College in collaboration with Indian Science Congress Association, Kolkata chapter. So now I request Mr. Sumallo Kormokar to express the vote of thanks in the program. Sumallo.
Thank you very much, sir. At the very beginning, I would like to heartily thank our respected Principal Madam, Dr. Nibedita Chakraborty, for her tremendous support, inexhaustible encouragement, and unconditional help. Without her support, encouragement, help, and efforts, organizing such a webinar would have been impossible. She has been a true backbone of this entire program, and words do fall short to acknowledge her efforts in making this webinar a success. On behalf of all of us, ma'am, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to you and thank you once again from the core of our hearts. I would equally like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our respected Dr. Manoj Kumar Chakraborty sir. He was absolutely instrumental in organizing this webinar. Without your support, help, encouragements, and constant efforts, sir, this webinar would not have been possible. On behalf of all of us, I once again extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, sir, and thank you once again from the bottom of our hearts. May I take this opportunity to thank respected Professor Anango Mohan Chandra, sir, for his kind support. Sir, I express my gratitude towards you and thank you from the bottom of our hearts. In no words can we express our gratitude towards our honorable speakers. Their immense knowledge on the subjects have enriched us, each one of us, and we have learned several important things from them. I take this opportunity to thank our honorable speakers, Professor Dr. Ranabir Pal and Dr. Devprasad Chattopadhyay, for taking out time from their busy schedule and enriching us by delivering their wonderful, informative, bold, and situation-relevant lectures. Professor Dr. Ranabir Pal sir and Dr. Devprasad Chattopadhyay sir, we thank you both once again from the core of our hearts. I am also thankful to my colleague, Dr. Shubhendu Chandra, Assistant Professor in Physics and Joint Convener of today's webinar, from the bottom of my heart. He has shared all the responsibilities with me and has worked tirelessly to make this webinar a success. Thank you, Dada. Thank you very much. And last but not the least, I thank you, the prominent, learned, and august audience, for your valuable presence and support. Your willingness to take time out from your busy schedule to attend this webinar makes us ever humble. Without your involvement, this webinar would not have been successful. Thank you very much. We are all living in a challenging world today. Let us unitedly fight together against this COVID-19 pandemic, and surely together we will be the winners. Thank you all. Shubhenduda, it's now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Chattopadhyay. Thank you, Shubhendu and Shumala, and all my teachers, students. Thank you very much for today's successful webinar. Thank you very much. আমরা এখন শেষ করে দিই।
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম, হ্যাঁ, থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম।
ঠিক আছে,
বিপ্লব বাবু রেকর্ডিংটা অফ করে দিন।
Okay, thank you.
Okay.